Hello, this is video 3, September 22nd, 2016. My partner has been informed that this is a role-playing counseling scenario intended only for the educational purposes for students in the Counseling Psychology Department at Toccoa Falls College. And today we're talking about silence, minimal encouragers, keywords, restatement, paraphrasing, summarizing, and questioning. Hello, Scott. How are you? It's good to see you again.
Hey, I'm good. Good to see you again, too.
So tell me what's going on with you today.
I've been really worried about my sister. She's recently went through a very bad divorce. It was drawn out over probably at least a year and a half that led up to where she is now. And prior to that, her and I had a really good relationship based on, we were close as brother and sister, but more importantly, we had some fellowship together on a regular basis. We could talk about the Lord, talk about Scripture. She was a very active part of the church, volunteer when needed, very supportive. But after that, she started, drifting away a little bit here and there, maybe missing a Sunday here, Sunday there. But then when everything was final, I think that it just totally stopped, and she's not attending church at all now. You can tell she's very discouraged and possibly even angry at God. I don't even know if she, what she believes and stuff. Concerned, with that, and then choices that she's making now, and things along those lines.
Can you tell me a little more about how that has affected your relationship with her?
I would talk with her, 2-3 times a week, sometimes more. Not only during the time when she was going through it, trying to be an encouragement, but before things happened that led up to the inevitable divorce. And now, there's really no communication at all. And so we don't talk the way that we did.
How does that make you feel?
Concerned. I understand, because I've been through similar things. I understand what happens when a person's not, where they need to be or should be. They typically avoid, Christians or anybody that would really remind them, not necessarily through their words, but just through being around the person. Sometimes they get reminded of where they are and where they should be, and so I understand that, but it's sad, and it's very concerning, because I don't want her to make bad choices that could be very costly for her.
Sad.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. Sad, and a little frustrating too.
So what I'm basically hearing you say is that you're worried about your sister, that she once was a big part of what you're doing in the church, and now she's not.
That's correct. And then my biggest concern, that's sad, and it's not necessarily just for the church. Like, mine and her relationship as well. Obviously I miss, our communication stuff. I could, share with her things that I wouldn't necessarily be able to share with many other people. We had an understanding and a bond, together, and that is gone. And but it's not necessarily just the church. It is more so to the consequences of her choices now.
Yes.
Then I get kind of in turmoil, because I have compassion and understanding. I know what she's been through, and I can understand the faith crisis that would be, as a result of the things that she's gone through.
So you're more worried about the consequences of her choices, as you said.
Especially now, because I think she's trying to medicate some of her pain and frustration, and there's probably a void there in a relationship with God, and I'm concerned with this. With a new boyfriend she has. It's not that necessarily the new boyfriend
She
where
has
he
a
is.
boyfriend.
Right. more concerned with whether or not he is, a follower of Jesus and will lead her in the right path where she needs to be from
Yeah.
a spiritual
So,
standpoint.
so another concern would be that she has a boyfriend this soon after her divorce, and you're concerned that he's not of the same faith that she is.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he has faith in general, and that's definitely I would celebrate the boyfriend if he was totally in love with Jesus, and I knew that he would be the godly man and godly leader. But I don't know where he's at in that, and I feel like that if he were a Christian, that he would encourage her to stay plugged in to, even if we're our church, a church, and more specifically in stay plugged in with Christ and in His Word.
Mm-hmm. How do you think that you could encourage her in this time that she's going through right now?
I probably need to just ask her point blank. I've made subtle suggestions, and I've talked about kind of roundabout way, what
Yeah.
Scripture says, and I probably need just to be more blunt and upfront with it in a loving way, though. So.
Yeah. So the way that you would normally handle it would be how?
With strangers and people like that, I would normally wait for them to come to me and ask before I solicited my advice, which is would be biblically based in what Scripture would say. So it's a little different with her because she's my sister and I know what's going on, and so in that. I guess what I need to do ultimately with Scripture, it says if you have concern or ought somebody, go to them, and that's what I need to do, instead of worrying about it being unsolicited and watching her potentially drive herself or in future off of a cliff. So.
Yeah. So you're concerned about the fact that she went through a traumatic experience with her divorce, and during that time that she was going through the divorce, she was close to you, she was in church more, she was more active and more involved, and now, since the divorce is final, she has moved into a different place in her life, even gotten a boyfriend, and now she's no longer involved or active in the church at all, and you're really concerned mostly about the choices that she's making and how that's going to affect her future. Is that right?
In a nutshell, that's really it. I'm concerned about where she's at and where she's headed and the consequences of her choices and the way that she's responding and handling where she's at in life now. So.
What do you think her choices are going to lead her to?
Prolonged pain can multiply or compound the disappointment, because it seems like, and I have to admit, I mean, this is looking outside in based on if the boyfriend is not a follower of Christ. I'm concerned that she would use that as a crutch and place false hope there and wind up disappointed, and then just compound her hurt and disappointment and drive the wedge even deeper between her and her relationship with Christ.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little more about how that affects you personally? How does that make you feel?
Worried more so than anything. Anxious and worried for her. I'm not hurt that we're have kind of drifted apart, because I understand it. I've actually been in a similar situation a long time ago, so I understand it. So I have the compassion there, and I see how that could happen. But it really makes me worried for her and her future and stuff. More anxious.
Well, next time we meet, I would like to talk a little bit more about what how you think this has affected you, and what, you know, your reason for talking to me about it, and what you would like to accomplish with that.
Okay.
All right, then it's good to see you again.
All right, thank you. Good to see you too.
All right, I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks.